to the after party. Welcome to the after party. Did you bring some snacks and treats?
Yes, it did.
I hope you got me something to eat.
Maybe.
Welcome to the after party. Coming to the after party.
Right now.
I've been waiting here all day to act like a fool this way. Welcome to the after party. Join us in the after party.
Right now.
Oh, chocolate and gabbing, maybe some microphone gabbing at the after party.
With DJ Eric Page.
It wasn't new. That was a troll. We didn't update the after party song. It's too iconic. So we might remix it a little bit, but yeah, that's too iconic. So we're gonna leave that in for a while longer because everybody seems to love it so much. So there we go. I don't want to change. We already changed so much stuff. I don't know if I want to change every single thing. Anyway, welcome to the after party. I am joined by an AFK Pagey. I think he's getting food still. So he'll be back in a second. That is not my OnlyFans, by the way. Not my OnlyFans. Anyway, so he's grabbing food, but he's going to be here with us. This is a temporary time slot. Do not get used to this time. It is going to change. We just weren't sure about the timing of the show this week. So this is where we kind of landed for today, but it will change next week. And I will let everybody know all about that before we get to that point, just so you guys are aware of that. Anyway, so these are going to be the topics for today's show. We're going to be talking about the Batwoman drama briefly. If you're watching this on playback and you weren't here for yesterday's like random stream about it, I'm going to link it here in the corner, one side, I think over here. I'm going to link it in the corner of the video so you can go check that out if you haven't seen it yet, because on that one, we cover like all of the other news about Ruby Rose and Batwoman. We're not going to go into all of that here, but we are going to talk about that briefly. And there's been some new stuff that came out about it. So we're going to discuss that. We're going to talk about Stargirl. We're going to talk about the Flash Armageddon trailer. We're going to go over the boots again, talk about that a bit more, the fandom stuff. We may talk a bit about Supergirl, Batwoman, this week's episodes. Maybe. I didn't watch Legends as usual. And we are going to, at the very end, discuss the Titans finale and the Titans season so far. So if you're not caught up on Titans and you don't want to be spoiled, we're going to save that for the very end. So that way you don't have to worry about it. So we're going to be moving things around. Do not worry. We're going to change stuff. So just be prepared for that. Gamerman 9000, Gamerman X 9000 2.0 with a $5 super chat. Thank you so much. He said, so this is funny. Zack Snyder praises the Batman trailer and now his own fans are mad at him for it. So I don't want to be edgy here. This is what happens when you like coddle and raise up a fandom that doesn't think for themselves a lot of times. I hate to say that. It sounds so awful, and I'm not trying to offend anybody. If you love Zack Snyder, you love the Snyderverse, there's a portion of that community who their goal is so singular that there's no deviating from that, because they feel like deviating from that goal is somehow going to prevent something that they want from happening. So if they feel this way about it, it's kind of a monster of his own creation a little bit. He's tried a little bit to pull them back from that, but at a certain point, there's only so much you can do. And Zach did praise the trailer, and I saw the tweet, and yeah. So there we go. I don't want to offend anybody. I mean, if you love the Snyderverse, I'm not trying to go after you. There is a portion of that community, just like with any fandom, that sort of makes things difficult for everyone else. And I do believe that there is a chunk of that community that does that. And that's just the way it is. Just like every other fandom, there's going to be people in it that feel that way. Quindolin, but I think he likes it because of the tone in which has dark and similar to his own. Yeah, I would say it is. So I felt like that trailer if I had to break it down, it felt like a mashup of Zack Snyder and Christopher Nolan to me. That is actually the way that trailer came across to me. Fresh Sounds Florida, it always happens. If you have a group of people that blindly support you, at some point they are going to turn on you, because they become followers of yours, and then you become a follower of them, if that makes sense. Like, you create the monster and then the monster becomes your leader. That's the way that works. That's why you have to be very careful about how you engage with your community, honestly. Just the way it is. Just the way it is. So, Paigey, are you back? Have you returned to us? I don't think he has. I wonder what he's making. Any guesses? In the chat, can you guess what it is that Paigey is making for his lunch? I'm very curious if anybody has any ideas. What do you think he's cooking? Do you think he's making seafood? Do you think he's making chicken? What is he having? And will he show us a picture of it? That's what I'm also curious about that as well. Is this Paigey's pick for the week? Let's count this as Paigey's pick, right? Here we go. We're gonna do this. This is gonna be fun. This is Paigey's pick. This will be hilarious. Anyway, I hope everybody's having a good week. I do have some questions. If you watched all the shows this week, everything, all the TV that was out, what was your favorite? What was your favorite show that came on this week? What were you enjoying? What were you like just into, like 100% into it this week? Because I'll be honest, I don't really know if I have one. I think I was very excited for the Titans finale. I was very excited for the second episode of Batwoman because I really enjoyed the premiere. I liked Young Justice. Is anybody watching Young Justice? The first 2 episodes were up. I think the 3rd episode is out now, or it comes out today. I'm enjoying that. I love the animated stuff. So Young Justice is definitely something that I was into. I see a Legends. I see 2 Legends. Okay. There we go. I'm only gonna Dark Bat Productions. I'm just gonna open the floor for questions about Supergirl and Batwoman because I feel like everything else is gonna take up a lot of time. So yeah. Black Clover. 3Dub, never seen that.
I am back. Yeah.
Okay, so I wanted to count this as a Paigey's pick because everybody is curious what you're having.
Well, isn't it lucky that it's the year 2021? And I can take a photo.
That's what we were.
Oh,
you read our minds.
That is like an Instagram. I'm not gonna flex a bit, but that's an Instagram level photo right there.
Oh, really? Okay.
Hold on. Just dug up all my Apple stuff connected. Flex. Just airdrop it to my Mac.
Where are you? Yeah, where are you gonna send this to me on Twitter?
I'll open it up and then I'll just share my screen.
Why give Supergirl 20 episodes when the show ain't about her? I don't know about that one.
Move that over there.
All right.
Share screen, window, the image.
Here we go. Oh, this is an Instagram photo. This is great.
It's pretty. Yeah, as I said, it's a bit of a flex.
Look at that.
Obviously, I could have wiped the bowl there where I put some extra little sauce stuff going on.
Oh, I thought that was intentional. So
this is a special herb and spice crusted chicken breast cooked in the air fryer with some freshly made brown rice and some sort of like green peas mixed with like a bit of the chicken juice.
Why? Some people are saying. Some people are saying you. I see a you in the chat. Like,
tastes good.
Survived the taste test.
Actually, the rice is a bit shit, but anyway.
Somebody says Chef Paigey in the house. Look at that.
I like to cook, so ladies.
It looks like Sir Benjamin Archibald is asking for a link to the stream. Should we invite Sir Benjamin to the stream?
If you want.
He is going to be on his phone, I think, because I don't think he has internet. It is
I
new
have
flat.
to move my keyboard so I can enjoy my food. Anyway,
There we go.
speaking of
Wow.
Chef Ramsay Pagey, Gordon Ramsay's daughter's on Australian Master Chef, like the Celebrity Master Chef, whatever it is.
Interesting. So I sent a link to Harry Potter himself. So we'll see if he arrives here in a second. Will Ben rant about how bad Supergirl is? Absolutely not. Don't expect that ever, even if it's the worst episode. It's not going to happen, just so you know. Okay, so we have a few things to talk about. Let's talk about the first one. So if you guys did not watch it, yesterday's stream, we talked briefly, well, actually not briefly, at length about Ruby Rose's situation with on-set drama with Batwoman. There are some trigger warnings in that video. We're not going to go over all of that. But here we're going to follow up on it. And we're going to give you a quick recap of what's happening in case you didn't see that video. But I would suggest going and watching that one as well. Thomas Scott with a £2 super chat and a Team Eric member. Thank you so much. Gordon's daughter is on Strictly Come Dancing. Oh. Okay. Didn't know that. All right. So quick recap in case you have been living under a rock the last 2 days. Ruby Rose came out with some pretty hardcore allegations.
Actually,
yeah.
Update: the rice is good.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, don't worry. I just picked up a shit piece. Don't worry.
Okay.
The rice is good.
So she came out with some hardcore allegations against the team behind Batwoman, primarily the WB people, which would be Caroline Dries, Sarah Is it Schechner? I think.
Schichter.
Yeah. And the head, well, no longer former head of what was the actual title he had? Was it just television? Was it the television division?
Chairman of WBTV.
Okay, which is Peter Roth, right? That's his name.
Yeah.
So those were the primary accusations that she had. They were pretty hardcore, mostly talking about her injury and how they mistreated her there. And then she name dropped the only cast member that she name dropped that is still on the show is Camrus. And she also talked about Doug Ray, who is no longer on the show. But they were all named in some of these allegations. I'm not going to go into too much detail about them, but they were not good. If you want to know more, again, go check out the video or check out Twitter. It's all over the place. Staggerforth, the 49 super chat. Could the Batwoman drama affect the longevity of the show? Only if some type of legal thing happens. That's really the only way. Warner Brothers is denying it, so therefore they're not going to do anything. So the next step would be if Ruby decides to actually legally go after someone, because I don't think they care. Like no one on the show now, with the exception of Camrus, is in the public eye. Even the showrunner and stuff, they're just not visible to people. They're not out there. Camrus would be the one that if somebody's going to take a hit, just to be take the heat off WB, it would be Camrus. But I don't even know if that's going to be a thing. Yeah, we're going to talk about Camrus' statements now. Matter of fact, let me share my screen here. And let's see, where is it at? Right here. So this was from, I think, last night is when he responded to this. So here we go. It says, Batwoman star Camrus Johnson responds to Ruby Rose's allegations. Actor Camrus Johnson, who plays Luke Fox on Batwoman, refers to Ruby Rose's allegations against him and the show's producers as lies. We're just going to scroll down here to his Twitter. Bat fam, I couldn't go the whole day without saying something, which I said I thought he would. So I'm happy that he did. I love y'all. Don't think I haven't seen all the love today, but yeah, fam, she was fired. And it is very hard to be fired when you're the lead. Imagine what you have to do for that to happen. So that's his first statement. There's a couple more here. We are going to talk about them. Paigey, when you saw this, does this more or less confirm that there was bad blood between Ruby and Camrus? Because this is scathing. This is like one of those it's almost like a screw you, but not saying screw you kind of thing. That's really what this is, right?
Yeah, 100%. It definitely confirms that there's something going on there, but he also doesn't deny that he didn't leak it out, does he?
I don't think so.
That's what
Let's
she
go
was
through the-
accusing him of.
Yeah. Let's go through the rest here. He goes, since it was claimed she walked away last year, I'm sure some of you may be pretty confused or upset. And a lot of people were because, to be honest, it seemed like she was lying. And to some degree she was, but it might have been a studio cover-up as well because she was still under contract at that point until the contract expired. And even more so, that's a lot of lies were spread today. Just know that we have a lot of great souls working on the show, and none of this changes that from the top to the bottom. Love y'all, and West Coast fam, enjoy the new episode of Batwoman starring. Like, I'll be honest, that is another jab there.
The thing is, I think this was actually a
T-4
terrible response to it.
Yeah. I mean, I agree.
It was actually a really bad response to it because he's only mentioned as like a leak thing.
Yeah.
And the way apparently he treated her like in the hospital, like, he doesn't address that. He addresses the whole thing as a whole, but it's not aimed at him as a whole. It's aimed at no one else responded.
What happened? What? Where did you go? What happened? There it goes. What happened?
I don't know. I just got kicked out and it just went, no upcoming broadcast or something on my screen. I was like, what the hell happened there?
Okay, well, you're back. Finish your thought. Hopefully that doesn't happen again.
Maybe Cameron Johnson owns StreamYard.
Okay, go ahead. Finish what you're saying.
What was the last thing you heard me say?
You were following up on your first statement about him, and it just kind of confirms, like you were saying, because he didn't deny any of the allegations about him.
Yeah, and he's the only cast member who spoke out.
Yeah,
no one else did. But if he was going to speak out against it, it would be defending himself. But he doesn't defend himself.
Okay,
which means
I want to talk about this because the chat also said this.
It's a bit sus.
Yeah, she called him egotistical, and she said that he was the one that confronted her about being late and leaked the information about her being late to the press. All this does for me is confirms that he did it.
He did it, yeah.
Because if he didn't, he would
say, "No, I didn't do that."
To Ruby, and he did leak the information because he didn't deny either one of those.
Was like, and the shade is just like, "Watch new Batwoman starring," and then tags Javicia Leslie, who he shouldn't be tagging because she's not involved in it.
She's not involved, and that puts her in the crosshairs. Like, that basically makes her the target of abuse because now he is making it seem like he's using her to sort of get back at Ruby. Now, I will say this. He's got every right to be upset. Like, him being mad about what came out, he has absolutely every right to be upset about it.
But say why she's wrong.
Yeah. The one thing we did get here is the confirmation that, so he sort of confirmed just about everything she said, that she was fired because she did make that in her statement, that he probably did everything that she accused him of because he has not denied it in the statement. And he also proved that he and her did not get along and that he does sort of have a chip on his shoulder, which is what she meant by egotistical. So I absolutely love Cameras. I think the one thing he's done is he's got a loyal fan base with the show, and I've really loved him on the series. But you're right. This is the kind of petty response that people like. If you love drama, here you go. But this also doesn't refute anything that she said about him. So I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that if you like Cameras and you're in his camp on this, just know that what she accused him of probably did happen. Just be aware of that. Now, the other thing is, if you're Team Ruby, this confirms that she also, at the very least, covered up why she was leaving the show. Like, if you were wondering if like her decision to leave was her own, if they split amicably, I can't ever say that word, amicably. If it was a split down the middle between the two of them, and you were wondering if she was lying about it, this confirms that she was in fact fired, and that most likely it was due to on-set behavior at this point. Because now, remember yesterday when I talked about this, I said that there's probably a combination, like one half of the story was Ruby's. This is another piece to that puzzle, right? So now we know that, in fact, it was exactly what I expected. Ruby was being mistreated by the upper heads at WB, the Peter Roth and everyone involved with that. So that negativity that she was getting from them was affecting her on-set behavior because she was mad at them. Therefore, her cast members were getting the negativity from Ruby because Ruby was feeling negative about the way she was being treated. So everything that I surmised about what probably happened is sort of coming a little bit clear here, because no one else seems to, like, everybody working on the set probably didn't have the same pressure that Ruby had because of the injury and then dealing with Peter and everybody else, Caroline and stuff. So if you go in and you work with somebody and they've had a bad day, how many times, I bet everybody here that's ever had a job in their life, like if you've worked any kind of like job where you're just there, you're trying to make your money and go home, everyone has had that one worker where they're mad about being at work and it affects like the energy of the whole team. And I think that's exactly what happened here. I'm not saying that Ruby can't be a diva or that anybody on the set could be unreasonable. It actually does happen. But I'm going to say here in this situation, I think it trickled down. It started at the top and it just was flowing through Ruby and her behavior on set. That's what I think is happening. Would you agree with that or would you disagree with that?
Yeah,
based on the information we have.
Pretty much in the same line of thinking.
Right. So, like I said yesterday, there's no right or wrong here when it comes to stories. It's about perception. Cameras was perceiving certain things from Ruby. She was perceiving things from her, I guess, Peter and the people above her. And so she was projecting. And so it became a situation where everybody was in this like bubble of like pop-offishness. Like everybody's just snapping at everybody because of this. Yeah, we're going to get there, Jordan. I'm going to go through all of this because I want to get this done so we can jump into the other stuff we want to talk about. Because I want to put like a bookend on this drama maybe for a while until we see what's going to happen. All right, so that was Cameron's response. Now let us look at... first I want to bring this up. This is pretty hilarious. So the statement's not up anymore because...
the Instagram
this
story.
Actress, no, she deleted her social media.
Oh.
Okay, so let's talk about this for a second. This is Bridget Regan, who's going to be playing Poison Ivy in this season of Batwoman. She tweeted out this almost weird like tweet yesterday where she was saying that she had personally not experienced anything on set that was anything like what Ruby was saying. Okay, let me tell you why that's a problem. Number one, she never worked under the conditions that Ruby did. She's not the lead of the show. She didn't work with Peter, and she didn't work with the same crew. Like, yeah, there's some people there that are probably the same, but it was a different thing. We're 3 seasons in. So she tweeted that out, and a lot of people underneath of it were like, hey, I love you. I love your work, but this isn't good. Like, you shouldn't even be speaking to this because you weren't there. So It sounds like you're basically trying to tell Ruby that her experience didn't happen. And that's the one thing you can't do. You can say, if somebody's lying, you can absolutely, if you're someone that has information they're lying, you should actually call it out. But this person, this actor did not have that information. So she was basically like, I guess like cheerleading for the people that are working on Batwoman now, which absolutely has nothing to do with what happened with Ruby. And it was a really weird thing. Well, she's gone. Her social media disappeared after this last night. I guess it happened sometime later in the evening. She didn't just delete the tweet. She deleted her entire life on social media. So any thoughts on this, Paigey? I mean, do you think this is a correct and accurate way to do it? Because this doesn't make it go away. I always say this, deleting your social media doesn't make it go away. It still happened. As a matter of fact, this literally cuts off your line of communication to making apologies and stuff like that, because you didn't even apologize for it. So you posted it, you know now that it was a bad idea. And instead of accepting that, as being like your penance or whatever, you delete your account and you don't say anything. This is not good, right?
Yeah, it's I think if you gave it a rating out of 10 in regards to not being good, you'd probably give it a 9. Maybe a strong 9.5.
I will say this. This
not
is the
good.
worst response to criticism if you're a celebrity. This is the worst thing you can do because it makes you look like you just know you screwed up. And
Well, it's just a response to criticism as a whole. Like, one is either to delete your account or to like go private, which is sort of the same, I guess, especially if it's like outsiders coming for you.
I would actually say that privating your account is a lot less sus than this. This is to me. If
Well,
you
no,
private
because
your
because
account,
privating it still means someone that follows you can still see
Yeah.
what you said or interact with you and stuff like that.
Yeah, I just it's wild that she said anything at all. Let's just put it that way. All right, move that. I just thought that was kind of funny. All right, so the next thing I want to talk about, and then we're going to move on from this, is there was a production assistant, I believe, who worked on season 1. Now, this is someone that did work with Ruby. Actually did make a statement, and I'm going to try and read it, but it's very, I don't know, because I don't know where the statement came from. I don't know where the social media statement came from. But did you read this, Paigey, by the way?
I read it, and it's like, it's
full of like really, I'm going to say, I don't want to, okay.
You know what I'm going to assume?
So,
I think he wrote it on his phone. And autocorrect took over in some areas.
That's probably what it is, because either
sure.
that or English is not their first language, and maybe that's what happened, but I don't think that's what happened. I'm not going to assume anything.
I think their name is a pretty Anglo-Saxon name.
I didn't see their name, so I don't know.
It's like Thomas something or something like that.
Okay, so I would go, all right, Baxter. So Alexander Baxter. Okay.
Alex Baxter.
Maybe you're right. I didn't want to assume anything about them, and I wasn't going to make fun of it. But there are a lot of issues with the spelling and stuff like that. So Batwoman crew member Bax WBTV calls Ruby Rose a dictator. Okay, so here's the thing. Before I even read this, these again are allegations, and this is anecdotal information. So this is one person's experience. So this doesn't mean that this is absolutely what happened. But what it does for me, and the reason why I'm reading it, is it goes to show that there was some sort of miscommunication between everyone on set, and it led to a very dysfunctional like filming situation for Batwoman season 1. All right. This is quite a bit. I'm going to read through this. I'm just going to read the whole thing. There's a lot. I'm going to read straight through it, and then we'll talk about it. When I first got into the industry, I was very fortunate to get on certain shows like Supergirl, Sabrina, and a few features in there. But the highlight of my entry into film was Batwoman season 1. I was an actor aspiring to know more about the film industry, and when I got the job, it came up. I was so excited. Being a DC fan and a huge fan of Warner Brothers, I jumped at the opportunity. My philosophy was that I could learn as much as I could, and I sat down and then go do my own films. Little did I know of the hell that awaited me on those sets. The production company was professional, dialed in every way fantastic. The crew was lovely, hardworking, and dedicated to countless night shoots. It sounded to be an amazing experience in the making. Then came Ruby Rose. From day one, where her supposed injury, I don't like that he uses that word. I mean, she's obviously did have an injury. Her supposed injury stopped her from doing 60% of her job. She began her first day. Yeah, go ahead.
Hold on. Yeah, like let me go to the surgery and take some Instagram photos. The surgery room.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's a little bit. She began the first day on the show not acknowledging a single crew member besides anyone above the line, which, by the way, I don't know how it works on sets, but when you go into a job for the first day, I don't go around and speak to every single, like I've worked, like being a DJ, I'm put into an environment where there's 100 people working around me. I don't say something to every single person, just the people that I need to directly speak to. So, okay. Anyway, and then the days stretched on, the 18-hour days for some of us and the crew. Things got worse. She showed up late most nights and didn't have her lines memorized. And whenever she interacted with anyone below the line, production assistant, LX crews, grips, it was though we were beneath her boots. She stormed off set. She yelled at people. Whenever she interacted with any of us production assistants, we were disregarded as the trash we picked up. One day, the studio, we spent the entire morning setting up her requested green room. I'm not going to get into items that she wanted, only to have her show up, giggle, walk away, and say she's good. We chalked it up to another Ruby is giving orders for the sake of giving orders moment and moved on. Then I was holding a door open for her after having to work 15 hours at that point in the freezing cold weather. And she came billowing through the door I just opened, and she spilt her food. Split. I don't know. She looked at it, then up at me and said, well, and then stormed off and left me to clean up her mess. That is what it felt like working beneath Ruby, cleaning up her mess. She never thanked us. She only made demands that left us all exhausted emotionally and physically. Okay, I am going to take a pause there. Two things. One, this isn't just Ruby's fault. he's talking about their long hours and everything they're having to do. That is an issue with the production, and that is what this fight was like a couple weeks ago. It was because they were being pushed really hard under filming conditions. So not totally her fault. And look, I'm not apologizing for her. That aspect of it, I think, is a problem that goes beyond just Ruby. I will say, if she was being rude and mean to everybody, I'm not going to invalidate their experience. It probably happened, but I also say that a lot of that probably had to do with the stuff that she was dealing with that she outlined in her statement. So if anything, a lot of these statements are only confirming that she was dealing with stuff behind the scenes that they did not know of. All right. She was a dictator to work for and having nothing but a production assistant eager to get into the industry. She made me consider quitting. If this was the industry I was going to get into, I sure as hell wasn't going to work for entitled tyrants. Living downtown, I met one of her close friends on a dating app, and then he shared with me the stories of them partying and getting high on all sorts of drugs. That's not a cool thing to put out there. And funnily enough, the days that she showed up 8 hours late to set were the days he spoke. Oh, that's awful. That's really awful. She didn't care how long we waited for her and made sure everything was perfect and ready. She just cared about her personal party lifestyle. We worked countless long days, always going to overtime because she was either late or not off book for some reason relating to her not wanting to be there. For the moment we started the show, she made every new person that came on uneasy and unsupported. She was a horrible star and made so many of us feel like we were helping make a show for a dictator. Filmmakers, no matter what position they are on a film, deserve to be treated with respect. I don't disagree with that. I think that's absolutely true. That's how I was taught growing up in film school. And when I read the article claiming that the production was at fault, it infuriated me because having been there, I don't want to stand by her and let her badmouth the company that she tried to screw over. No matter how bad your day was, you have no right to be cruel. Season 1 was a reign over cruelty. So did she really try to screw them over, though? I mean, it doesn't sound like it. It sounds like maybe she was kind of detached from everyone, but I don't think in season 1 she was actively trying to screw the production team over, right?
It sounded like she was just living her life.
Right.
But the thing is,
whatever she does offset, whether she's going out and making donuts or, flying kites or, 420 every night. I mean, that doesn't matter. It's immaterial. It doesn't matter.
Smoke weed every night.
I mean, like how. I'm not taking away from what he's saying. I think a lot of the stuff that he's saying does sound awful.
But it's also coming from like
a friend of a friend. Like it's anecdotal.
Well,
that's why I said it's anecdotal information.
But also it's just coming from two different perspectives of the story. Like a lot of this just comes down to like it sounded like she was just a bit irresponsible in regards to
right.
Like what's the word? Like just like simply like showing up.
It was unprofessional. She was being unprofessional is probably the best word for it. But again, it's this Fresh Sounds Florida goes, there's anyone on set that has Ruby's back. It's hard because here's the deal.
They probably still work on the show.
Yeah, she was the star of the show. No matter how you frame it, no matter how many people talk about how awful it was, she would be the one getting the most, like having the most problems with the top end. She would have a direct line to every single person working above her, and she would be the first person that gets that. This person here, although he's working really hard on making the show and trying to do an amazing job, he would be so far down that ladder of production in terms of like dealing with the drama at the top, he wouldn't even know. How does he know that her going out and acting out the way she was because of the abuse that she was being subjected to? You know what I'm saying? So I don't think that people having her back, I just don't think there was, because she was compartmentalizing this. And we talked about this yesterday. The way people deal with trauma, whether they're going through it now or they went through it 5 years ago, you cannot predict why that is. Mental health has been stigmatized so much in the world, especially in my country, that people don't know how to deal with it. So they deal with it in ways that it's not a rational way of dealing with it because it's not a physical injury. Like if you break your arm, you're like, oh, I have a broken arm. These are my steps to fix my broken arm, because it is something that's visible to everyone and it makes life harder for everyone around you. Mental trauma and feeling personally attacked affects you in the same way, but guess what? People don't see it. It's not something that's obvious to everybody. Does that mean that she should have acted this way to everyone? Absolutely not. I'm not an apologist for that. The fact that everybody on set had an issue with her goes to show that maybe it wasn't the right fit. Maybe she shouldn't have been there with them. The reality is, though, that she probably should have been able to seek out help. And the people that should have had her back were the people above her, the heads of the production. Caroline, all of these people that were working at the top end should have been her support. She shouldn't be looking to people, quote unquote, below the line for support on an issue like this. And the problem is she can't turn to them because they're not people that need to know that. She's probably contractually unable to even have a conversation with them about this stuff. So she was in a situation where she had no support. Now, whether you believe anything about like what Cameron said or what this person said or what that person said, the one thing that we know for sure is that she had an injury that happened before and on set. We know that. That is absolutely true. And we know that she was having issues with Peter and Caroline and the people above her. Those things are obvious. Everything else in this battle is going to be messy drama from here on out. Be prepared that we'll probably get more statements from people. We'll probably hear more stuff from people that were invested in this and everything. Because I think she's done talking about it. I went to Ruby's Instagram today. There was no new updates about this. So she absolutely said what she had to say, and then she was out. So we'll see what's going to happen with that. Welcome back, Introverted Unicorn. Thank you so much for joining us and being here. Glad you have your internet back. Lone Wolf here with a $2 super chat. Hope nothing comes out about Rachel. I don't know if she hasn't made a statement now. I don't know if she will. It would probably be in her best interest to not say anything because she might be one of those people that Ruby mentioned that is supporting her. That's not speaking out about it.
I can say this. It seems that she is one of the people that had good experiences with Ruby on set based off the Instagram sort of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It seemed that based off that at the very least. I think it was actually, I think the people that had somewhat okay experiences with Ruby were probably her and probably the girl that plays Mary, I think. Are probably the two that probably had better experiences. But it just could be clash of personalities. Like, you know, like there's people on YouTube and stuff that I'm not going to interact with because they're dickheads. So,
but at the same time, it's just imagine being forced to work with people that you're not happy with. Right.
So imagine me and Eric can't stand each other. You know, Eric hates when I meme the OnlyFans. I can't copy the Chucky Finster glasses. You know, it's we can't stand each other. Do you think the after party would work? No, it'd be us having like ranting and raving at each other in a not funny way.
Right.
For two, like it would suck. And you know, and we talk obviously outside of it as well. So, but imagine having to work, especially in the role that certain people, whether it's crew and or cast, for not just like an hour, but like 8 hours for 8 hours a day for what 4 or 5 hours, 4 or 5 days of the week, mate, you'd beat each other's necks.
Yeah. The other thing is that, like, and I'm going to talk about B. Allen Hart's statement here, is it's pretty obvious now. Like, if you look at the whole picture, Ruby is better off not being on set on that show. It just didn't work for whatever reason. And the show is in a much better place now than it was then. So the splitting of them, like breaking off and not working together, is the best thing that happened for both parties. Ruby not being there and being subjected to all this, and the rest of the cast not having to deal with all that drama. Because I bet you Javicia is not dealing with the same stuff that Ruby's dealing with, that she dealt with. It's pretty obvious that behind the scenes is much better off now.
And also, I think Javicia would be working less than Ruby. If you look at season 1 and how much screen time Ruby had compared to maybe outside like but even like Javicia's first episode, she's only in like half the episode because they still have to pick up with all the other people as well. So because of the show's like different now, Javicia would work less. So she would definitely not be in the same situation. And also because they had to deal with that potentially in season 1, they would have changed some stuff. So they didn't get, you know, lead issue 2.0.
Right. So we're gonna wrap it up. I'll answer a couple more questions about this, but we're gonna move on because we want to talk. I want to talk about a bit about Fandome and some of the disappointment with that because I've had some thoughts on it, and we're also going to be talking about Titans at the end. So if you want to hear about that, stick around. But B. Allen Hart says $5 super chat and Team Eric member. Thank you so much. Everyone deals with trauma differently. It's easy to look back and say what should have done, but didn't go through it. Absolutely it. Hindsight, yeah, you can say well, they should have done this, they should have done that.
And him bringing up the drugs and stuff like that, I was like, definitely you should not have done that because people deal with stuff in different ways, whether it's drugs or I guess alcohol is a drug, but drinking, drugs, eating, not eating, gambling, sex, whatever it might be, various addictions.
You never go, a friend of a friend of a friend told me something. Like that's never a good look when you're trying to like blast back at somebody.
Otherwise, you end up in a situation.
By the way, she didn't even pinpoint this guy. She actually called out the fact that a PA got hurt on set. So she didn't have an issue with the PAs.
Yeah, like if you go down like the friend of a friend told me this route, you end up with a story that Spider-Man No Way Home screened on a theater when it was actually a Dune screening in Belgium and in Berlin in Germany, and not a Sony press screening. Anyone get that reference, Eric? No?
Yeah.
Okay, sweet. Let's move on.
Thomas here, £5 super chat, a Team Eric member. Thank you so much. I've seen videos where people say Ruby said she'd love to come back, dismisses. So anything that she said prior to the statement doesn't matter.
Just PR, just PR, yeah.
Yeah, don't any of that happened. Again, we talked about this yesterday. Is trauma. She was reacting because she was pretending for the public, for the sake of the public. And so it might look like a lie, but if it's trauma, it's trauma. Should we totally dismiss that? No, but I'm not going to look at that as being some sort of definitive, like, here's where the line ends for me. I didn't think Ruby was very good in season 1. And I said something was going on behind the scenes. So it was obvious to the viewers. That's why the season was so rough. And this validates that. So if you're somebody that didn't like season 1, even if you did or didn't like Ruby, this statement from her should confirm that there was an issue with the filming of the show.
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty much where it is.
Oh, drama. So, I do have a pages pick for this week, by the way, outside of the food situation, which I know was a highlight. I know everyone loved the food.
Yeah. Jordan. So Jordan posted this right here. I'm not.
Yeah, once again, that's
a PR statement. That's not even worth. That is a cut and paste political or PR statement from them. No, I'm not saying you, Thomas. I was talking about people in general, like the people that were saying that she was making up as a lie. I was responding to your statement because I was saying, me personally, I'm not taking anything that she said before her Instagram post as being her speaking her truth. That's kind of how I felt about it. I wasn't saying that about you. All right, let's lighten up the mood a little bit and do Paige's actual pick this week before we get into Stargirl.
It's a groovy one as well because it's another playlist of the week. So obviously Eric may sing some songs here. Are you confirming the singing?
I don't know. We'll see.
Okay.
What is the actual play? Is it just a general playlist? Is that what it is?
It's a general playlist of songs I heard throughout the week and went, hey, that's a good play. That's a good song for the after party playlist of the week.
Okay. Here we go.
Oh, you love these. Okay, first I've got warm up your vocal cords, Eric, your singing box. I got Crush by Jennifer Page, my namesake.
Oh man, I haven't heard that song in a long time.
Can we get a
there's actually a good friend of mine who is still in the industry now, Eric Cohen. He's a DJ. He lives in Canada now.
Not Eric Wallace?
Might be near Canada. No, Eric Cohen. He did a remix for that was really good. I think you can still find it on YouTube, but yeah, he posted it on his social media, and I was like, oh, I forgot you worked on that. So that was the best version, the Eric Cohen remix of Crush by Jennifer
Can we
Page,
get a little Eric sample?
It's just that's it. That's all, baby.
Okay, next up, this is for the hashtag 420ers out there. Because I got high by Afro Man.
Oh, I remember that song was so fun. That's just like I was not into that type of stuff back then, so I didn't understand. But now I get it. So now I understand. I didn't before.
I tried to clean my room.
But you didn't because you got high. So there you go.
Because I got high.
All right.
Okay. I guess if you're not like older than 15, you'd know none of these songs. Anyway.
Oh gosh.
Oh, Colt 45. That what song? How does that song go?
I don't know.
For some reason, I was just thinking of Peaches.
Ah,
F the pain
No.
on it. But anyway,
yeah, no, we're definitely not singing anything about Peaches. Go ahead.
it's like
Go
the
ahead.
controversy. Wait, she's the one that said something stupid on social media recently, wasn't
Well,
she?
it's not just that. She's got a lot of really like dicey songs that I would probably listen to, but I will not say them here on YouTube. Eka Mouse.
Okay.
Yeah, we're not doing reggae right now unless Pagey's got reggae somewhere in his playlist.
Okay. The third song I got Bitch by Meredith Brooks.
That is a very like early 2000s song. Didn't it come out in the early 2000s, late 90s, early 2000s?
Late 90s. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like a very
It's
Woodstock
very
99 song.
So I always say like there's this Alanis Morissette sound, which is
I
like
thought this song was by Alanis Morissette.
okay, yeah.
Whenever
So
it came on the radio, I thought it was by her.
it's always like an electric guitar over like an electronic drum beat. That's like the Alanis Morissette sound. And so many people tried to copy it. And it was like so many people they tried. That was like the blueprint for like late 90s, early 2000s music. So
Yeah. Okay, well, let's mix up into I think this is the late 2000s. I got Black and Gold by Sam Sparrow.
Oh, I still listen to that song to this day. He's actually got a really good song. So first
you know
of all,
he's Australian?
I did not know that.
I didn't know that either.
The lyrics to that song are really good, by the way. Black and Gold, like if you like, it's almost like a gospel song, but it's a pop song, so it's kind of interesting. But he's also got a really, really good song called Happiness. If you want to go on YouTube, don't do it now because we're not trying to get a copyright strike. But if anybody wants to go here, like if you like Black and Gold, go listen to Happiness by Sam Sparrow. It's also really good. Plus, he actually writes a lot of music for other people. So,
okay, next up, and this may get us a sneak preview of the OnlyFans. I got I'm Too Sexy by Right Said Fred.
Oh, you know what's funny is the new Drake song. The new Drake song has a like not a sample, but he kind of takes from that song in it. The video is hilarious too, by the way. Too Sexy.
For this song.
What? Well, no. Like Drake's new song, he sings the lyrics from that, but it's his own song. It's not a sample.
Yeah.
But Right Said Fred was funny because I thought it was a joke. Honestly, when it
like
first came out, I'm
yeah.
like, can't be real, right? Anyway.
Okay. Next up, this is a very more recent song, even though I think this guy like disappeared off the planet, even though I thought he was going to be one of those next big sort of rap things. I got Panda by Designer.
Oh, that song annoyed me.
That song was massive. And then
it was. It's like he came out with that and then he just vanished. Yeah. I think he still does stuff, but it's not big like that. That song went viral. But I love the hook on it, but it just doesn't. It's like it just kind of it's very repetitive to me. But
it's like, but that's the thing. That's why it was popular because a lot of the popular songs now they just repeat the same chorus and stuff.
The
like that.
best hooks are the ones that go the farthest in pop music, typically. So
yeah,
he's got broads in Atlanta. That's one of the lyrics in the song. Anyway,
I just remember Panda.
The beat was very nice. Yes.
Yeah, good song. Anyway, next I got The Right Kind of Love by Jeremy Jordan, not the Supergirl Jeremy Jordan.
Yeah. I remember this. This was like
Jeremy Jordan.
So that Jeremy Jordan used to give me like Marky Mark vibes. He would always have like a coat with no shirt on underneath of it, and
that Chillblade vibes.
Very Chillblade vibes. I believe that the song debuted on the original 90210. I think that's where it came from. It was on the soundtrack for 90210, like the first one, not the recent one, but like the original one. But the crazy thing about this production team that did that song was the same team that worked with Color Me Bad. If you guys remember Color Me Bad, I Want to Sex You Up. And there was a couple other groups that came out in that period of time. Anyway, it was all like very formulated production in that era. So music that came out had almost a blueprint for like it's a pop record. And the video is hilarious. I don't even know if the video is still around, but yeah, it was funny. Like I remember that guy because he was big for like a blip, and I bought his album. He actually had a really good album. The album with that song on it was actually really, really good, but nobody took him seriously, and that was kind of like a one-hit wonder type thing. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. Next up, this is for my mid 2000s, and I got Riding by Chameleonaire. Was it Chameleonaire? I think it's Chameleonaire.
It's Chameleonaire, yeah. Chameleonaire. He's a chameleon. Yeah, that's that southern like hip hop sound. It was really good. He actually did a song called "Get Up" with Sierra, which is actually still a request today, like at the club. People are always like, "I want to hear that song, Get Up with Sierra." But yeah, the one that you're talking about is still really popular. But the one I get the most requests for is Get Up. So
they see
what's
me
left, right,
rolling. They hate him.
All right.
What's the real writing nerdy? But what's the how did lyrics go to the Weird Al Yankovic version?
Oh, I don't know. I haven't heard it in years.
I just they riding nerdy or whatever it is. No,
look, see, Paigey, someone is too young to have heard any of these. So
we'll add them to the playlist.
Yeah.
Next up, I got this should be. I think Eric might like this one. I got "Addicted to Bass" by Josh Abraham.
That's very, very, very club. Very club. Very, very club. Another person that vanished. I don't even think he made music much after that. If he did, I didn't hear anything from it. Yeah, that one brings back memories. I remember that. That was during like the rave era. So
it was on the radio the other day, and I just got wow stuck in my head all day. I was like, oh god, go away. Oh, good song, that one. And then finally, bit of a meme, but also bit of serious. Oh, White and Nerdy. That's what it was. Yeah, White and Nerdy. Not writing nerdy, but yeah, White and Nerdy. That's it. Anyway, finally, I got Sandstorm by Darude.
That there's no lyrics to that. I could be there.
This came out when I was like 6 or 7. I just remember being on like the music stations, the music stations, and on like Channel V, the birthplace of Ruby Rose.
Was it really? Okay.
Well, yeah, she was a VJ, as they would call. Well, yeah, I guess they used on MTV and stuff like that. But that's the thing. Her, Keenan Lonsdale, and there's one more actor. I think I can't remember if they've been on. It was on Arrowverse or something else. Were all Channel V hosts and presenters before it died, because obviously then like YouTube took over in regards to music videos.
No.
So
very interesting there. There we go. So that was
Sandstorm by Sandstorm. Can we get a sample from Eric?
I did it earlier. That's the best I could do. It also reminds me of the song from the Blade film, the New Order song. Yeah, that song.
I think you're gonna say "Smack My Bitch Up."
No. That's Prodigy. I love going down these like memory lanes with music. It's so funny. Okay, we have a few things here. What was my first comic? It was an X-Men comic. I started collecting X-Men first. That was my first one. I believe it was like somewhere. So yeah, what was Paigey's? What was your first comic book?
So my first DC comic was a Green Arrow one. It's Quiver by Kevin Smith. But what got me into comics was the Simpsons comics. If anyone's my age, it was probably Simpsons comics. They probably got them in because they were just available like everywhere. They'd be in the bookstores, in the news agencies, everything like that, or even in the grocery shops. It'd just be the Simpsons comics, because you couldn't get like DC and Marvel stuff unless you went to a literal comic book shop.
No,
which weren't in that big of a supply, obviously.
Right.
So most people, I guess, my age, especially outside of America, would have been Simpsons comics.
Yeah.
There's
a little bit of info. Simpsons. You started out with the Simpsons. Yeah. Oh wait, I don't want to get copyright struck. Thomas here goes, born 1998. I have no clue, but Black and Gold was the first song he put on his phone
via infrared. God, that's pre-Bluetooth.
Yeah,
pre-Bluetooth. You had to like hold the phones together to like transfer it over, and like if you slightly separated them, they would you have to redo it. Oh god,
that's funny. All right, so let's move on. I guess Ben decided not to join us. I sent him a link to the show, and he is not here. So there we go.
I found him. He's on Geeks and Gamers. He's joined the Geeks and Gamers stream.
Oh, has he? Okay, all right.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about Stargirl now briefly. I think you didn't do a review this week, but you did talk about it on your trailer breakdown for the next episode.
Wow.
My review is up if you want to hear my full thoughts on it, but I thought we'd just go through it here. And if anybody in the chat had any questions, feel free to ask. Yeah, his internet doesn't work. Well, he should have told me that before he asked for the link. So this week was episode, I think it was 11, right? Chapter 11, Summer School Chapter 11.
Yeah.
So in this episode was a psychological thriller. There wasn't a lot of action in it. it mainly focused on the Shadowlands and Courtney dealing with trauma and regret. And we got to see a lot of characters that we didn't see. Did you expect to see some of those people come back, like with the wizard and all those
I
characters?
wasn't. Well, as soon as I saw not before I saw the trailer, I was like, I didn't know. I didn't even know she was going into the Shadowlands. But once that trailer came out and you saw the wizard and his family, I was like, okay, who else could be there? And then you also see Dragon King. I was like, okay, that could be it, but you never know. There could be some other people, just whether they got them in or not.
Right.
But I think outside of that, the only other people you saw were the Fiddler, or the two versions of the Fiddler.
Yeah. Yeah, it just felt it felt like a very this episode felt like, you know how you're getting close to the end of a season and you need certain things to move. So you have an episode that kind of shifts things for you, because I feel like this was low-key like a redemption episode for Cindy. Like, I felt like this was her sort of being given the first keys to the door to like not being someone that everybody hated, because we got a chance to see like why she is the way she is, kind of with the trauma that she's dealing with. So I thought that was kind of important. Did you get that at all, or am I just projecting that? I felt like it was.
I don't know if it's necessarily a redemption thing, because I can see Cindy's backstabbing someone in these last two episodes.
Yeah,
specifically the finale, because I don't know if they'll end it with her being like seen as like a quote unquote good guy.
I don't think that's the case, but I like the idea of them at least opening the door for that possibility.
I think it's just more that they have a common enemy.
Yeah,
it's very similar to like how the Shade would help them as well take down Eclipso. They have a common enemy, might I say.
What do you think about this comment here? Because I have seen this a bit, that the episode did sort of drag. See, I felt like the previous one dragged a little bit too. So, did you feel like this one had any moments where it felt like it was dragging on at all?
I think you could argue that, but I think they need to have the entire episode be focused on this. I think the only thing you could have maybe had was Mike go out and look for Jakeem, because it's like, oh, I'm looking for the Thunderbolt pants. But that's it. You would have just been following Mike. I think that's the only other story you probably could have had. So I don't mind the fact that it was sort of just contained within this,
Right. Yeah. So we did finally get a chance to meet the because this Dr. Midnighter was the new actor that was cast. So we finally had a chance to meet him. What did you think of that portrayal? Did you like it? Did you not like it? I thought it was really good. I can't wait to see.
Yeah, because the other one hardly got any. Like, he was like, you see him get dragged by the Shade, and that's it in season 1, and then you hear his voice. So once the guy was on screen for like 30 seconds, he had more proper Dr. Midnight than the previous one. So I think it was fine. I think he gives off a more I think he gives off a pretty solid Dr. Midnight feel as well. I am interested to see what it's like now that he's on the outside. I'm interested to see what happens there and what that relationship like.
Do you think he's going to be like a mentor for Beth now and sort of teach her how to use the gadgets and all the things?
Yeah, and also like I'm assuming like I don't know what's like, is his wife dead? Like, I'm not too sure what's
right, because he's been in there for a long time. So
like, it's only been 11 years.
Yeah, that's a long time though to be trapped.
Yeah, no, but I mean, but like in regards to, I don't know what the go is with his wife. Was his wife?
Yeah,
because like they obviously age really weird, but do their partners as well?
Maybe. It's going to be interesting to see what happens. I'm curious to see his relationship with Beth, though, being that she's taking over the mantle of Dr. Midnight. The Shade also had a big role in this episode. Do you think that he's gone? Because it looked like he kind of vaporized into smoke. Do you think?
I think he's going to show up at the end. I think he's going to show up at the end. I think he'll be in the finale probably. Okay,
because he's, again, we have proven. Yet, I mean, we've talked about this a bit. He's not just a villain. He's not a villainous character. He can only do things that he cares about. Yeah.
Like whatever helps him out, he'll do.
So there was that. Do you think, because now that we've come out, we've got Cindy back, Courtney's back, and now we have Dr. Midnight. So I'm assuming that the next step is rebuilding the JSA at this point, right? That's because we know Jenny's there now because she helped find Shade. I think we're going to be rebuilding the JSA at this point.
Yeah. Something along those lines. Yeah. Well, they got to They got to build the army to go up against Eclipso. Even though I would say that I think it's like Courtney with a working cosmic staff, and even just the Shade, I think would be strong enough to potentially do something against Eclipso. But then you chuck in the Jenny, and then Jakeem Thunder with the Thunderbolt pen. God knows what he could do. Like before I was thinking, he's like a pretty OP villain if it's basic JSA. When you include all of that, and then even Owlman if he's got but then he smashed the hourglass. So I don't know what happens there. So yeah,
I'm curious what's going to happen with that, because now that because to be fair, his powers were the easiest ones to portray on screen, and they got rid of his powers. So I mean, at least we think they got rid of his powers. I'm wondering though, the name Hour Man means that in order to keep the essence of the character, he has to only have his powers for an hour. So it can't be like a meta thing. So it has to be something else. So
maybe the Dr. Midnight's out. Maybe Dr. Midnight helps him. Maybe they have like the schematics in his goggles and stuff where they can remake an
Oh, that's a good point. I didn't think about that. You're probably right. So overall, though, at the end of this episode, we kind of know where we're going with the show. I enjoyed this one more than last week's episode of Stargirl, but I know you really enjoyed the previous episode. What did you think of this one in comparison? Because they're both these are both like dialogue heavy episodes. There wasn't a lot of action in both of them. So what did you think? Did you compared to the rest of the season? Where do you think this falls?
Well, I think that was just I think they were dialogue, but also set up episodes for I think this episode that went past was really setting up those final two episodes. While I think the week before was setting up this episode, but also potentially planting seeds for the future. Because that Helix group, I don't think is just a one-off thing mentioned.
Okay.
Thing.
All right.
Like surely that's season 3. And the fact that even I think Brett Brassinger, who plays Courtney, posted on Twitter, put 2 tweets out about it and I'd love to see more of that. And it's because you probably know that it's in next season. It's because it probably is coming next season.
Yeah. So somebody Logan saying he liked the black and white aesthetic. Yeah, it was cool. It worked for what they were trying to do in the episode. So I quite enjoyed it. I'm seeing a range of scores. I'm seeing 7s and 8s, and I've seen a 10.
It's probably anywhere from a 7 to an 8. I don't think it was a mind blowing episode, but it was a solid episode that did what it needed to do without any major faults. It's not like it tripped over itself. I think there was no real nitpicks and stuff like that. It was a pretty standard, basic, solid episode that did what it needed to do.
So Daniel here, this is a good thing. Yes, anytime you see a character that's out of place for a while or is purposely not being used, it's typically a budget thing. But
also it's very important to remember the storyline doesn't require the robot.
Yeah,
even last season, you only used it 3 times.
The robot's only good in physical battles. Other than that, it doesn't do anything for them. But so that's kind of they sidelined it early so that way it'll probably be working by the finale. We'll probably see it in the final episode. So expect to see it then, I guess. All right, let's talk a little bit. I've had a few days to think about this. Let's talk a little bit about Fandome, because I see the blowback on it's kind of the same from everybody. We had a lot of trailers and stuff, but we also didn't get a lot of what we were promised. Do you think we should have a Fandome next year? That's kind of where we're at right now. So
no, because Comic-Con's back, and Comic-Con, Fandome is I don't even know, the analogy, it's making an hour-long video on a 2-minute trailer. It's just not worth it.
Yeah.
It's not worth it. I haven't seen anyone be able to give me a solid reasoning why it needed to be 3.5 hours. Because what do they show? Right at the end, the Batman trailer. Didn't show a Flash TV show trailer. Stargirl spoiled the episode.
Yep.
Titans and Doom Patrol renewal things, which they could just put on Twitter, would have got the exact same amount of attention. Same with the Batman trailer, probably would have got the exact same amount. Nobody talked about Black Adam after 10 minutes, and I thought Black Adam was one of the highlights.
And it was the first thing. It was
cool to see. Yeah. And everyone stopped talking about it straight away. The Flash, quote unquote teaser trailer, it's like a first look thing, is the only other thing which I think was maybe worth putting there. But even then, it's not worth advertising and not giving out a schedule, so people have to sit there for 3.5 hours.
They did that on purpose, though. That was done
honestly
purposely.
It was a middle finger. It was like,
Yeah.
F you. We know you're gonna sit here and watch it, and they say it's for the fans, but it was a massive middle finger. I don't want to sit there and watch a 5-minute music video from Flula Borg, who is fine when listening to it like 1 or 2 minutes, but when he's constantly showing up and isn't funny at all, I'm sorry.
The other thing is they kept Candace there for people to think that we were actually going to get.
Yeah,
a
and even
Flash
Grant
teaser
showed
bit.
up another Grant showed
Yeah,
up like
that's
one or
true.
two
That's
one or
true.
two more times.
Why were you
throughout the thing
keeping
as
them on the
well.
show if the only thing you were going to show was this picture we have behind me, which was the suit, a promo picture of the suit?
Yeah.
Lone Wolf, $2 super chat. This is about Stargirl, but we're going to address it now before we talk more about Fandome. Mildly disappointed that the new ISA didn't last. Well, it was always a means to get to Eclipse.
But Cam, you went. They did it on purpose to highlight their less popular properties. What the only two things that people came out talking about were the Flash movie and the Batman trailer, two of their biggest properties. No one talked about Naomi, and they showed the first thing there. Didn't show that.
I can almost guarantee if Naomi's teaser would have came out on another day opposite of those other things, it would have probably trended.
Yeah, or keep it contained. Like the thing is, I think about it, and I was talking to someone as well. This should have been an hour, and it should have just been a showcase and go. Even if they didn't want to show the TV trailer, that's fair enough. Go, here's Gold Boots.
Yeah.
Okay, quickly, Doom Patrol Titans were renewed for next season. How good's that? That's both of their fourth season. So how good's that? New seasons. Here's the Flash first look from a movie. Here's Black Adam. Here's Aquaman behind the scenes, and finally, here's the Batman trailer. Keep it an hour. Let's get X-rated. Don't fuck with people.
Oh, look, Jenna, here we go. This is another thing. They had a lot of stuff from Milestone.
As well, and
that no one was talking about.
Yeah,
and it was a lot of stuff,
and it highlights the issue. And look, Batman is the face of DC. He is. He's the biggest thing DC is going to put out there. But it really highlights the issue that DC has at the moment, where it's just Batman. Like I know we're probably going to talk about Titans in a second and how they're relying on Batman focus.
Yeah, we're gonna dive into Titans because I want to talk about the whole season, not just the finale.
But you know what it should have been? It should have been this event and not had the Batman trailer and done the Batman trailer either a month ago or something else, and then maybe do something little with it. But nothing.
Can you imagine if they would have saved that Flash movie teaser till the end, or the Black Adam teaser at the end of it? That would have been completely different than the Batman trailer. Yeah,
because I can tell you this: the Batman trailer didn't need Fandome, but
it never does.
But all the other stuff,
anything with Batman on it doesn't need anything. You just put it out. There was an entire day that Batman trended because Robert Pattinson's voice. Here's his Batman voice.
Was in
it trended for 24 hours. Yeah. It's crazy.
But Justin, the merger isn't happening until next year. It's too late to announce certain things. You know what else? I completely forgot. They didn't even mention some stuff. Like they're talking about Batgirl and Blue Beetle. What about the Green Lantern show?
Yeah. What about the Gotham show?
Nothing.
Talk about the Gotham show either.
I completely, because it's just being put on the back burner and they've cast people for it, but we don't even know when it's filming. Like
the wild thing is the Green Lantern character on Stargirl has been so wildly popular and well received. I can't believe they don't see that that's something they should be talking about.
Yeah. And Green Lantern is just one of DC's bigger characters as well. It's super secret. And they even advertised panels. I think there was there was probably 2 and a bit panels, because I'd say the Peacemaker one was a panel, the Milestone one was a panel, and I'd say that Batman thing before the trailer was sort of like a panel, even though it really wasn't. It was them sort of patting each other on the back more than anything.
Yeah.
They had what's his name, J.J. Abrams there didn't talk about any of his properties that are coming up. What was he? What did he even talk about there? I can't remember what he was on screen for. But they didn't talk about any of his stuff that he's working on.
Thomas, don't hold your breath for Man of Steel 2.
Or
I'm just telling you right now.
What about the Black Superman movie?
Yeah,
nothing. It's insane, eh? The more you think about it,
we had time for Super Pets. We had time for singing from Javelin. We had time for all of that. So
The more you think about it, the worse it gets. It's insane. I can't believe people defend it. No offense. It's no offense, but no surprise that Giovanni's defending it. But then again, I think Giovanni is like a consistent 24/7 opposite day. So I'm going to assume Giovanni thinks it was bad, but won't say it was bad.
except with Daredevil, I love Daredevil. I think Daredevil should have continued. That's the one thing I do agree with. He talks about that quite a bit on Twitter. All right, so the general consensus is that I love the new Flash suit. I don't think it needed to be premiered in DC fandom. I think the trailer should have been there because we got the trailer. I did a trailer video. Paigey also did a trailer video. His is a breakdown. Mine's more of a reaction. But you can check those out and get our thoughts on it.
I thought yours was a twerk along.
It was a twerk along. There is, in fact, heavy, massive, sweaty, wet twerking going on in that video. So make sure you watch it.
Hold on. Can we get the definition of a wet twerk? Because I am now extremely intrigued and also confused.
I don't know. I have no idea what that is. It sounded really gross, so I decided to say it. That's it. A wet twerk. I don't know.
Okay,
that is.
Okay, right. Now the stream's demonetized.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so we're gonna move on. If you guys have questions about this week's Supergirl or Batwoman, feel free to drop them with the super chat. Otherwise, we're gonna just kind of. There was a Killer Croc episode of Batwoman. It was okay.
It was, as I said, the show's fucked.
yeah. It was okay. It wasn't as bad as last season, but I mean,
I can't believe they're doing what they're doing with Ryan. I can't believe it. I'm shaking my head.
The stuff with her mother.
Now she's rich. Now she's like and she's like head of Wayne. What are they doing?
The acting CEO is what is her.
So stupid. Anyway, it's dumb. I'm watching it at the moment because they got the Rogue stuff. Next week is like a Mr. Freeze sort of thing, and then I'm interested to see how they do Poison Ivy.
My review for Batwoman will be out tomorrow. So if you're looking for my Batwoman reviews, they're always going to be on Friday. So look for that tomorrow. 100%.
I don't know what's going on with it. The thing is that I constantly keep thinking, why did they just not recast Kate Kane? Because they're just turning Ryan.
Wallace Day was right there waiting for it.
They're just anyway, I haven't watched Supergirl either, so I can't even comment on Supergirl.
Yeah, so Supergirl's I did my video on it. You guys saw it. My video's out, my review's out. Supergirl is lost at sea. It is a show that absolutely has no chance of being pulled back in. It just is.
Wait, do you think wait, hold on. So you're saying the trash heap in the middle of the ocean was an analogy for Supergirl this season?
Yes, that's where they should be on that.
That was episode
trash heap.
Was that episode 1?
It was. This episode again just showcases that they can only get it right half the time. And this week was Nia. Nia's story with her sister was literally the best part of the episode, the only watchable part of the episode. The other half was Kara going back to like season 2, Kara, where she can't balance her life of being Supergirl. And Kara, she can't balance it. So we have a monster. I know you haven't watched the episode. Let me give you a quick definition of how stupid it was, or a recap on how stupid it was. National City is trapped inside of a bubble by the Super Friends because there is a dream monster attacking the city. Okay, it's like a kaiju attacking National City. It's literally not bad enough as a threat that Kara is working on a puff piece story about negotiations going on from the previous episode where she's doing a Zoom meeting. They're still trying to report on the story while the rest of the world is talking about the dome and the monster in National City where Catco is, but that's not their most important story. They're focused on the story with these two leaders in countries where by the end of the episode, we find out could have waited until the next day. But Kara, as Supergirl, thinks that it's more important for her to be a reporter at Catco, playing, this mock-up argument between her and William for this puff piece that she wants to do, instead of trying to stop this monster. That's what the whole episode was.
Yeah.
And then she quits Catco. And Andrea is just a one-dimensional evil editor-in-chief, basically.
They released the synopsis for the final 2 episodes, and
does it sound?
I'm going to read them to you.
Yeah, read them out, and then we'll
This-
talk
so
about
this is-
Titans.
So Supergirl's having a 2 hour finale special, but it's not like Arrow where they have like a documentary thing or like a behind the scenes thing and then the episode. It's just 2 episodes in a row. So here's the description of episode 19, The Last Gauntlet. The penultimate episode kicks off the 2-hour finale for Supergirl. In the penultimate build-up to the season finale, Supergirl and the Super Friends take drastic action after a loved one is kidnapped by Nixley and Lex, and a likely ally steps in to help the team. So obviously, I'm assuming it's that little girl, whatever the daughter is, that
Esme,
Alex
because she's a plot
yeah.
device, so it'll be Esme. Yeah.
And then here's the description for the finale. The epic series finale brings back familiar faces and features a beautiful wedding. In the epic series finale, in the epic series finale, emphasis on epic, I guess, Supergirl is joined by familiar faces from the past to help her stop Lex and Nixley for good. Meanwhile, Alex and Kelly prepare to walk down the aisle. McCard Brooks, Jeremy Jordan, not the right kind
Not
of
the
love,
singer.
but,
Not the singer.
and Chris Wood return for the series finale. Thoughts?
It's a season too long. It should have ended last season, to be honest. The show's just running on fumes, and the writers don't care, so that's why it is the way it is. We'll talk about this with Titans, but I truly believe that shows that rely heavily on fairy tale storytelling they're not as successful, in my opinion. And I think Supergirl has fallen into that trap. So there we go. All right. If you guys have any more questions about Supergirl, super chat us. We'll jump back in. We're going to talk about Titans now. So if you don't want to be spoiled on Titans, make sure you turn away. But I'm going to rush through. We have like 3 super chats waiting, so I'm going to do these and then we'll talk about Titans. Rhett 499 super chat. I thought we would get a Red Hood spinoff announced, but we didn't even get that. And if Jason isn't coming back next season, where will we go? So we're talking about Jason, obviously, who's Red Hood in the season of Titans. This isn't really related to the episode, but I will say this. I don't know if they are going to do a Red Hood spinoff, but it felt like they were setting one up. Do you have any thoughts on this at all?
The way he leaves the way that Jason ends the season, if they had announced a spinoff, that's the connection. It's a good connection because he's like, no, I can't stay here. Like, spoiler for the finale if you haven't watched it, but he can't be in Wayne Manor and be in that sort of. He can't join the Titans again because of what he did. So he's on his own.
Right.
So it sets that up because I know how he'd play into Titans again, but that hasn't been announced. So now I'm sort of confused. I don't know if it's because they did such a big redemption thing. Well, not big redemption, but because there's such a 180 with the character in those final 2 episodes where they think there wasn't much storytelling space there. Right. I personally don't know how long that show could go on unless it's like half a season of him being Red Hood by himself, and then it builds into a Red Hood and the Outsiders type of show, and they base it off the comic where they can bring in those, once again, like other things of DC, so they can bring in other characters and build that world up a bit more. And then there could even be like a crossover between Red Hood and Titans, or the Red Hood show and the Titans show at some point, or like even like a spin-off sort of like limited thing if they wanted to do it, because HBO Max would allow that. So yeah, it's a bit confusing. I don't know where they're going to go with that, but yeah.
A lot of people like his portrayal of Red Hood, even though I wasn't 100% convinced.
I think he's a good Jason Todd. I don't buy his Red Hood at the moment. I think if it was a bit further in, I just don't think. Yeah, I didn't love his Red Hood.
Because you got to remember, he would have to carry the whole show, basically, if he was the.
Yeah. I think he would be somewhat able to carry it, but I think it would just depend who also surrounds him, because you can look at someone and go, okay, they could carry a show, but it also really depends on who is surrounded by them, because it's obviously not going to just be a single man show. They're going to have someone around him.
Yeah. Lone Wolf, the $5 super chat. What did y'all think of the Batman trailer? I saw Baby put a video out, but love to hear your thoughts on it. I think we talked about it a little bit on the live stream.
It was fine.
It was fine. Okay, so it looked like a blend of Zack Snyder and Christopher Nolan stuff. I'll be honest, and this is probably going to be really tough for people to hear, and don't think that I'm like judging anybody on this. I'm tired of stories about Batman. I don't think there's a lot more that I could get from a Batman story that I haven't already seen, to be honest. I know this is year 2.
In some other
I know this is year 2. But I am desperately looking for new stories and new characters that they could be doing projects on. And I feel like we've got this over abundance of Batman. And guess what? There's a lot of people that love Batman, and Batman is an awesome character. And this movie's probably going to be amazing. I think
it'll make
beautiful.
It'll make $1 billion. It's gonna be massive. But at the same time, you can't just sit there. But like, that's why McDonald's makes a lot of money a year as well.
Yeah. So there's not a lot. This trailer would have had to show me like Batman Noir or something completely different than I've already seen. And I'll be honest, it did for me. It felt like a continuation of the Christopher Nolan universe of Batman, and that's fine. I love those movies, but I will say that the DC relies so heavily on Batman and the Batman community that I don't know. Okay, so I will say this. The one thing that I really liked about Javicia coming into Batwoman was we were getting, or at least what I thought we were getting, was this completely
emphasis on thought.
Yeah, I thought we were getting this completely fresh take on something related to Gotham. And that's not what we got. It still feels too controlled by the Batman mythos. They don't want to totally let go of that world. And so for me, as much as I would love to see this, and of course I'm going to go see the movie, and I think it looks amazing, and I think Robert Pattinson is going to be, great in this role. I can't get any more excited for it because it is exactly what I expected it to be, and it wasn't bad. So my interest in it, put it this way: if this trailer would have never came out, I'd still be seeing it in the movies.
That's what I said. And that's what I said when we were into fandom. I was like, I don't really care about the Batman trailer because I'm probably going to. I haven't what So to highlight this, I don't know if anyone was at the fandom thing. I had to go to the toilet. I left 30 seconds into the trailer because I was busting. Came back, watched the trailer on silence while Eric and Ben talked.
Yeah,
and that's it. I haven't watched it because I don't need to. I don't have to be sold on it because I'm like, okay, Matt Reeves doesn't make bad movies. He doesn't. Yeah. He just doesn't make bad movies.
It's going to be a great film. I have no doubt it's going to be a great film. Yeah. I have no doubt.
But at the same time, I don't need to watch it because I'm like, okay, it's Batman. It's by Matt Reeves. I know what I'm getting. I'll watch it in March or April, whenever it comes out. I'll watch it then. But Black Adam, I don't know what Black Adam's going to be like. We're getting our first JSA in the movie space, and we're finally seeing Black Adam as being built up. For
the same reason I'm excited for Naomi. The same reason I'm excited for Naomi. I'm excited for these things that we don't know so much about. Like,
yeah.
That's
why I'm excited to see that. But the thing is, it's as I said, it's why McDonald's makes so much money a year. It's because people know what they're getting when they go get it. And with the Batman, that's the case there as well.
So my final thoughts on it are it's going to be great. Matt Reeves is going to do an amazing job. It's going to be a beautiful movie. It will probably make $1 billion. I'll be very shocked if it doesn't. I think it's going to do everything and more than what people expect. I personally am not I'm not busting out ready to see the movie. I'll go see it when it comes out. Paige was busting out to have to go to the toilet. So there we go. Stagger with 1 super chat.
Relieve us.
So Lex is back next week and apparently in love. Yeah, that whole Lex story with Nixley. Talk about forced. That's super forced, by the way. Gamer Man here with a $5 super chat. Well, say what you will about Supergirl, but if you ever see Supergirl 1984 with Ellis Slater, I saw it in the theaters as a kid. I went there opening weekend as a kid to see that movie. So that's
And I've watched like the stuff on that, like that advertiser like connected to the Christopher Reeve movie and stuff like that.
It was very loosely based on that. Very loosely based. Let's see, there was another super chat here from Mike Glenn, $4.99 super chat. Supergirl feels like they're doing a backdoor pilot for Dreamer like Arrow, but is being written by the Legends writers. So I think Dreamer and Nia, so the two characters on this season of Supergirl that I can call out for being the doing extra and making it is Nicole and Azzy, which is Kelly or Nia and Kelly. I think they're the ones that are really, really, really into this season, and everybody else is just going through the motions. That's really what it feels like to me, honestly. I like Nicole. I don't think Dreamer is good enough to have her own show, to have its own series is like a Dreamer show or whatever. But I think Dreamer and another ensemble show would work really well because I don't think they've done enough work with Dreamer on the show. I don't think they could do enough between now and the end to set it up properly. So what do you think? Any thoughts on that?
They can't do a Dreamer show. That character can't carry a show. Like, no way in the world.
Yeah. Like
but they could include her in another sort of like team up show if they wanted
Dreamer,
to.
a Dreamer show would end up being another
It'd be a
Supergirl
season-
show with a lot of
It'd be a season long, and then they'd be like, "What do we do from here?"
right.
Like you got to when you say, "Oh, this character show, a spin-off show," you got to think, okay, well, what's 3 or 4 seasons worth of storylines?
Yeah,
it's not just but they could do this in the first season.
Oh,
yeah, okay, that's cool. But what
Daniela, I would absolutely watch a Nia spinoff. I just don't see enough content there.
There's not enough there.
Yeah,
it's just there's just not enough
now,
there. But what you could get is a
legion of
show
superhero shows. You could get a legion of superhero shows with Dreamer,
where there's a heavy focus on Nia, or she is like maybe there's 3 main characters and she's one of those main characters, and they get that storyline. But like Painkiller wouldn't have had legs. It would have been interesting to see a show, but no legs at all on Painkiller, unless they once again brought in other heroes.
If you
told
me that Dreamer was going to be on a Legion show, I would be the first one watching it.
Yeah,
I think it would be great.
Only if one else there.
You're talking about Ben here, right?
Oh, yeah, sorry, mixed the two up.
All right, let's see. I'm going to give a 15 to 20 minute warning because I have to wrap things up on the hour. Ashberry on here with the $5 super chat. I'll say it. Supergirl honestly should have ended with CBS and just have Melissa Benoist guest star on the crossover. I don't know. I didn't mind some of the earlier stuff that happened when it first came over.
Okay, well, I can. So to give you a sort of a viewpoint on how TV works when you're using properties that are owned by different things, you're not making it up on the spot. You're not making Foot Rangers or something like some random show or something like that.
Yeah,
they have to pay. So when you're paying for those rights, you're guaranteed especially with something like Supergirl, like Batwoman, for example. If this Ruby Rose situation happened in season 3 and she left, Batwoman would have been cancelled. They wouldn't have recast. They would have just cancelled the show. But because they paid so much money for the rights, they went ahead, recasted everything like that, went through that whole process, and had to sort of like rebirth or rebuild the show from there. Yeah, it's the same with the Supergirl thing. They're not just going to end it at CBS. They were always going to move it to CW. I think that was rumored halfway through the season for Supergirl because there was no way they were going to just cut it off there, because it's very important to remember CBS owns half of CW.
And the other half was Warner Brothers.
It was heavily said that it was probably going to move to the CW just because that they just felt it worked. They just didn't think it fit what CBS wanted, or it just didn't fit the network. So it was always going to go to the CW about halfway through the show, because they also paid for the rights to use the character. It was never going to get cancelled or end after one season.
Yep, that's true.
You can say, I want that, but it was just not logical.
So Ash here, following up here with the $10 super chat. Thank you again for supporting the channel. Warner Brothers won't change. We'll get 8 more Batman movies or projects before we ever see a Green Lantern on the big screen, or this Blue Beetle or Booster Gold project that DC has been promising for years. I mean, I know this is a little bit hyperbolic, but I agree. I think that Warner Brothers, the cost in and the return on Batman is so good for them, because you can do what Matt Reeves is doing with Batman, which is a modest budget for a big budget film project, and get a huge return on it. Whereas if you're doing Green Lantern, like if you look at the Ryan Reynolds movie or whatever, they do like these huge budgets and you're not going to get the same return on it. It's more bang for your buck. This is why you get so many horror movies that cost like $50 million to make, and then they bring in like $700 million at the box office.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. The budget for the Batman came out, it's $100 million.
Yeah.
And this is a Batman movie where they know they're going to minimum make 600 to 700 million, even if it gets like 10%.
It's a guaranteed. It's guaranteed money for them, no matter what. Yeah.
Like, so, and that's why that was like one of the big reasons they brought in Walter Hamada, was because he can structure things around lower budgets, not low budgets, like make a $10 million Batman movie, but lower. Like if you gave it's not a Snyder, shade, but if Zack Snyder made this movie, it'd be $150 to $200 million.
Right.
He would be trying to push for that, but Walter Hamada is able to work around. And I have a feeling that's why this took a bit longer just to get going, was because they wanted to work around the budget and everything like that. But that's smart, because at the end of the day, it is a business thing.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not
faulting them for that. From a business perspective, it's very smart.
Yeah, but then you could also question, well, I think the Suicide Squad was like 150. So there's obviously going to be those things, but the Suicide Squad needed that big budget. The Batman doesn't. The Batman is grounded.
Which is exactly why you see so many projects. That's why we had a whole Gotham TV show.
And that's why they can do those big swirling shots, because it's grounded. You're not using all this CGI and everything like that.
Yeah.
So
Mike Glenn says 199 super chat, Team Eric member. Thank you again, Mike. They should do a Batman Who Laughs movie. I think it's probably so. Fortnite is doing something with Batman Who Laughs, so I wouldn't be surprised if we see something like that eventually.
They'll eventually do it just because. Well, what's the first word there?
Batman.
Batman.
Exactly.
The Batman. Yeah.
Exactly. All right. Do we have any more super chats? I think we're caught up. Yeah, we're caught up. So let's talk a bit about Titans. If you guys have not seen the finale for Titans, we're gonna spoil it. We got we can say we got about 15 minutes here to get into this. It's not gonna take that long, I don't think. We're gonna talk about the finale as well as the whole season of Titans. So just be prepared to get spoiled. If you haven't seen it yet, this is why I saved it for the end. So you can come back later after you've seen the season. It's on HBO Max. The whole season's there now. So you can go, if you just want to binge it, go ahead and do that. So I stopped reviewing Titans, I think about 3 episodes in, because after like the 3rd episode, like back when it started going week to week, I realized there was a problem with the show. And it's not with the acting. It's not with the costumes. It's not with the production. It's not with the VFX. All of that's great. It's just that Titans doesn't feel like a show about Titans, really. That's the problem. It feels like a Bat Family show.
It's an extension of the Bat Family, yeah. And it doesn't, like... Yeah, I understand they wanted to do the Red Hood storyline and, you know, Death in the Family and combine them and everything like that. And that has to be in Gotham. Like, I think if they did that in San Francisco, it would have felt a bit off. But at the same time, it only occupied like the opening few episodes of the season to the point where it's like, well, did we have to be in Gotham then? If you only couldn't you have maybe like had it where Dick? I don't even know, but like I don't think it was worth having the whole season in Gotham.
No, it wasn't.
I have a question mark on some things that were in the season where I'm like, why was this even in the season? Because it led literally nowhere. Well, at least based off what was advertised, but I'll talk about that later. But in regards to the Gotham aspect, I'm like, was it worth it for the entire season? Because the Red Hood stuff, I think, only really focused in on maybe like a third of the season. Personally, from what I could gather.
And you know, the thing is that what was that?
No, I just saw Cole's little thing in the chat. Titans is better than the Flash.
Oh, okay. There we go. All right. So yes, having Nightwing on the show is always going to lean into some Batman stuff because he is a character from the Batman world.
Well, yeah, and how he has like Dick's the leader and everything like that.
But the reason why Batman's world is because it only really works in a world where people don't have superpowers. And I said this when we talked about it last time.
Or it's not like obvious, not obviously overly like over the top. Like you can have like sort of like genetic weird stuff going on. Like you can have a Killer Croc and various things like that. But once you dive into where
but the struggle with Killer Croc is you want to watch Batman, a person who doesn't have superpowers, defeat this creature. Basically, that is what you want to see. Because Killer Croc in the echelon of like heroes or people with powers isn't really that powerful. Like he's just not. And so
it's more
he's more powerful than a human, but he's more of like a Frankenstein monster. He's not really like his powers are they're supernatural, but they're still street level. So he's a crocodile, like in the sewers. He's a human with crocodile strength and stuff. Like it's just not at that level. When you have someone like Superboy at your disposal, nothing that happened this season should have been a threat.
Yeah.
You have Superboy. Why are you worried about Red Hood and Scarecrow, who isn't even really Scarecrow? He was Crane basically the entire season.
He was Crane that was like haunted by Scarecrow or like being like, I don't even know how you would like intimidated. I don't even know how you would put it.
If you subtract, and I will ask this question to everybody in the chat that has seen this season. If you subtract the Titans out of this season of Titans, you could have told the exact same story that happened from start to finish, minus Starfire's story, because obviously that's her story, and the episode with Raven in it and Themyscira, because that didn't revolve around that at all. The rest of the season, the main plot elements of the season could have been done with just Dick and Barbara and the characters in Gotham.
Yeah.
You didn't need the Titans for any of this. You didn't need them. You could have come up with other ways to tell this story without the Titans even being there. They felt like they were just dropped in this world. Beast Boy was a bat for one episode for like a minute of it. Otherwise, he had no character development. What character development has Beast Boy had in 2 seasons? Zero. None. What character development? Yeah. What character development did Superboy get? Oh, he hooked up with Blackfire.
And to be fair with Superboy, they did dive into his intelligence, which I do appreciate. They did dive into that, but it's minor.
But it should have been more though.
Yeah, it's minor. And also, did we talk about it in After Party? How if the roles were reversed and Superboy was a girl and Blackfire was a boy,
we talked on it a little bit. That relationship was bad, and it just continues to get worse. Like,
yeah.
The problem is that this version of Superboy is mentally still young. And so the fact that he said in a previous episode that he didn't even understand what a sex accompaniment person is. I don't want to say that word because it'll get the stream demonetized. He didn't understand what that kind of servitude means that he is not smart enough or mature enough yet to have any kind of a relationship like that with another person. They jumped from him having a conversation with her in the car to them in bed together. And then them in a relationship.
Like,
this season was rushed because anyone that was not Batman related was just pushed through their story, basically, as quickly as possible. The only story that was meaningful was the stuff between Starfire and Blackfire. That's it. And that story was basically misrepresented because Blackfire was touted as being some sort of antagonist.
Yeah.
And that never really happened.
But she helps them. She's an ally. She helps them. And just to give a brief thing, this is Titan's best season, but the Godspeed storyline, the Flash season 7, is better than it. So for the people in the chat having a little fight about that, that's just facts as well.
Let me just tell you this.
I'm not even a fan of. I don't even think it's that amazing, the Godspeed storyline. But that's just the best way to put it.
Yeah.
If you
yes, Mercenary with the lightning and Donna and all that stuff. Yes. I saw that. We're not even going to talk about that because I haven't even got to that point yet. We're still getting through all of this. Yes, Starfire now has Blackfire's powers from the comics, and Blackfire has Starfire's powers. But yet they're both still Starfire and Blackfire.
Blackfire, yeah. I didn't even know because
mentally think about this. Yeah. Coriander has Commander's powers, and Commander has Coriander's powers. So their code names should swap. They shouldn't be using their code because their code names don't go with each other.
Rival, I just said in the thing, I didn't even think it was that good. I swear people just put words in your mouth, eh? Like, it's just ridiculous. Like, I'm assuming he's trolling because it's a stupid statement. So I
do want to point out, since this has become like a dog pile on Titans, this was definitively the best season that Titans has had.
It was
easily.
Yeah. Even though it falls, how would you put it? Like, what? I think it's like probably because I'm having like a trouble recollecting because I had like a bit of a binge watch because I didn't watch the first 3 episodes until episode 4 came out.
Right.
So I think it's the first 5 or 6 episodes, or at least the first 4 or 5 at the very least, are like 7.5 or 8 pluses out of 10s. And then it just has that gradual slip off because the Red Hood storyline has run its course and they're building up this Scarecrow thing. And I don't think Scarecrow's clearly not a big enough villain for what he's doing to go up against the Titans, which includes Superboy, Beast Boy, Nightwing, Starfire, then Raven, all these things. Like, you got to remember the Titans in season 1 went up against the devil, Trigon. In season 2, like Mass Assassin, Deathstroke mixed with some other stuff as well.
Mm-hmm.
It's a decline in the villain, and these characters are growing. If they were the same level, okay, then it mixes up where it goes. But these are characters that are developing and their powers are growing.
Mm.
But then they're going up against Scarecrow, who's not even Scarecrow, as you were saying.
So, but with Cola, we've discussed. Like, you were not here for that conversation. We've already discussed that.
We've discussed it. Like, you bring it. Anyway, as I said, it's a pointless thing. What I said is correct. This is Titan's best season, but it still falls off to the point
Right.
where a subpar. And,
Yeah.
and the only reason I brought that up is because you brought
So-
a silly thing as well. Anyway,
but
stupid
but
discussion.
the other thing is, we're saying that the Flash show is Iris and Company, which, by the way, it isn't. That's just somebody who doesn't like Iris. It is the Flash with a supporting team, but the Flash should be the lead of his show.
Yeah.
On Titans, it's the opposite. Nightwing is clearly the main character of that show.
Well,
and
this
made
season
to the
sort of
point
like
where
mixes it
the
up.
Titans
It's like
aren't. Yeah,
Nightwing
it
slash
does.
Batman stuff.
But I will say that supporting characters like Beast Boy and Superboy and Raven, those characters get shuffled under the fence while they're showcasing characters like Red Hood and Scarecrow and Barbara, these characters who are not part of the Titans. So you actually are proving our point by saying that, because that's the show is not called Nightwing. It's called Titans.
It's called Titans.
Yeah, I mean, like this finale episode, the first half of it felt like it was put on like 0.25x speed or something. It's like they rushed through the first half, and the second half of it wasn't bad. I didn't hate the back half of this finale. I think the back half of the finale actually worked for what they were trying to do. But everything leading up to that felt so rushed to me. Like in this episode, in this finale, right? The moments of comedy that we got, some of it worked, some of it didn't work, were injected into the show to cover up for the pacing. If you look at the scenes where things just sort of happen, there's always a joke or there's something there from comedy that covers up where the lack of a pacing is in the episode. This finale should have been 2 parts, I think, honestly. If this was your finale, it should have been done in 2 parts. That's what I think. But I think the show looks beautiful. I think the costuming is great. The Nightwing suit, I still think looks amazing. There's so many things I do like about the show. I just want it to be more about Titans, personally.
Well, that's why I'm happy with what happens at the end, because they're going back to San Francisco.
Yeah.
And because the thing is that in season 2, which sucked balls, like elephant balls, like the biggest balls out there.
Yeah.
God, it sucked balls. Just to emphasize the balls on that. But anyway, you didn't really get a grip on like their influence on San Francisco. But at the beginning of this season, you see that San Francisco loves them. And obviously you get that contrast when they go to Gotham, where like they're nobodies. You know, like Gotham is Batman's territory and everything like that.
Right.
So I'm excited to see them go back to San Francisco and be the Titans, be the heroes of that city, and see what force comes in or grows from San Francisco, whatever it is, to test that.
Yeah.
To test their, because you know, when you look at the beginning of the season, it seemed like they were sort of dominating San Francisco. Oh, you want to come in and, you know, try and mess with our town? We'll take you down in 2 seconds. You know, and San Francisco loves them for that. So I want to see more of that in season 4. I don't know if we're going to get it. Fingers crossed.
I will. So let's wrap up the Titans thing by saying, do you think we're going to see a road trip? Because of the way the episode ended, do you think we're going to see them on the road traveling to San Francisco? Is that going to be season 4?
I don't know. Maybe they should start off the season with them getting off and someone just chucked a massive dump and it stinks. Imagine that.
That would be quite the
Someone
show.
stunk up the bus.
Yeah. Whoever smelt it dealt it. So we have Chainsaw here.
Who clogged the toilet?
Yeah. Hello, Chainsaw. He goes, I have high hopes for Armageddon. A lot of potential for some good character interaction and cool team ups through the 5 episodes. So we didn't mention this earlier. I was going to talk about this during the Flash thing. We don't have a lot of time left, but I will say this trailer that we got for Armageddon, basically what he's saying here, like the cool team ups through 5 episodes, it feels to me like one of the early crossovers, like one of the early Arrow crossovers where it doesn't feel like it doesn't have the same level like, you know, the more recent ones with Crisis and stuff, but it feels like those ones that we really love from, like, you know, the very first Arrowverse crossovers. Do you feel that way about the trailer? I mean, that's the vibe that I was getting from it, basically.
Yeah, even just it looks and feels like a crossover, even though it's obviously not being touted as a crossover, more of the event. So
right,
I like the way it looks and feels based off that thing. I'm sure we'll probably get another trailer and probably like not next week, probably the week after, like maybe like 2 weeks before the show comes out, or some sort of promo. Maybe it's like 20 or 30 second one, something like that.
Yeah.
which might give us a bit more of a feel of it. Even the promo images that come out, you can usually tell the difference between a standard episode promo image and a crossover promo image. So even if those come out, that'll be fairly interesting as well. But I'm excited for it. I know how you can watch that and not be excited. I know you can go, oh well, I didn't like season 7 or whatever it might be. But if you just focus in on that, because obviously things differ. I don't know how you could look at that and not get excited. I've just realized your microphone is now purple. When did that?
It was like this last week. No, it was like
no,
this
it
last
wasn't.
Week.
I'm not going insane. The blue thing was there yesterday, but the purple wasn't.
The purple was, yeah. Go back and watch the Batwoman stream from yesterday.
Wait, hold on. In the chat, was the purple there yesterday? Was the purple
anybody
there
that was here yesterday, was the purple here? Yeah, it was. Let's see what the chat says. The chat knows.
I need to know, am I going insane? Because that wasn't purple yesterday, was it?
People are
I don't think it was.
They're thinking now. Look, yeah, see, look, yeah, see, I told you.
Hold on. Let me go do some investigating. Hold on. Okay, it was purple. I retract my statement.
Told you.
What is it? Is that naturally purple? Or is that a skin?
It's you can order skins for the Yeti mic. So
it is a skin. It's not a purple mic.
Yeah.
Why did I say natural? As if it grows out of the freaking ground.
I don't know. It could be. We got 2 super chats left. We're gonna wrap this up, but I'm gonna answer the first one second because we'll do this one. The $2 super chat from Lone Wolf. Did the Tim story work for you? The Tim story was weird because the pacing of it was very off. He was introduced and then we spent like 6 episodes without him, and then he came back. And then they rushed him off with the Titans in the end, which, by the way, that was one of the parts that I felt was rushed. But I like Tim. I think that he's going to be a cool thing. Maybe he'll be Red Robin. I think that's what they're going to do next season.
Yeah.
But I like Tim. I think the story's good.
I think Tim as a character and the actor's portrayal and stuff works. I think he's likable and everything like that. The story itself was just a bit inconsistent. But hopefully, it's just one of those messy introduction things. And then next season, when they properly do stuff with him, it works.
Yeah. Rhett Proctor with a $9.99 super chat. Thank you so much for the support. They didn't even give a hint for season 4. I'm hoping for Brother Blood as the big bad and the Fearsome Five to make an appearance, but I want to see characters like Cassie and Sam Spark and Roy Harper. So here's the thing with them going back to San Francisco. I don't know if we're going to see a lot of Gotham.
You know what I think is based off the end of this season? I'm assuming it's something that heavily involves Argus.
Yes, because of the setup with Margarita V, who, by the way, is not a comic book character. I don't know who that is.
I thought it was is she meant to be like an undercover Amanda Waller? That's what I
thought originally. I was like, is this Amanda pretending to be someone else? But yeah, I don't know. I don't know how much we're going to get as far as Gotham stuff. I would really like a season where they focus more on Titans storylines. But Argus will be fine too, as long as we're going to use a variety of characters because we have so many different characters now that are going to be there on the team. But I don't know if we're going to stick with do you think we're going to stick with Gotham stuff? I don't think we are. I think but
I'm intrigued to see what they do. I'd like to think it's just all San Fran stuff, and there might be a bit of Bruce Wayne might show up or something like that for an episode or 2 or something. But even then, I hope his role is very, very small if he's there. But I think you're probably going to get Roy Harper next season just because they mentioned him again, and they name dropped him.
Yeah. So anytime a show drops a name specifically, you can almost guarantee that they're going to make some sort of appearance
in that way, especially towards the end of a season. If it's just randomly halfway through a season, then maybe not. But in the way that they did, I think you're going to get him. But yeah.
Look, guys, Titans season 3 is definitely worth a watch. It's not an unwatchable show. It just can be a lot better than it is.
It's the best season Titans has had, which obviously isn't saying much.
But I will say this though: if you're not a huge fan of Nightwing and Red Hood, you're going to have issues with the season because that's literally the
at least until the back half, because the back half starts to include the characters a bit more.
Yeah. Let's see. Lone Wolf here with the $2 super chat. Red Hood highly underutilized in my opinion. I don't think he was underutilized. I think he was.
I think there was just that drop off because there's so much of him in that. There's so much of him in that opening third, and then it just drops off, and then he picks up again, and he's not really Red Hood at that stage. He's just sort of gone back to being Jason.
Yeah. Roy is name dropped in the finale. Yeah, I mean, if you liked Red Hood, you're probably going to feel like he was underutilized, and I think there was a dip in it there in the middle. But I think, in my opinion, I could have seen less of him in the season. To be completely honest, I just didn't think it was a very compelling story. But that's only because I've already made it very obvious that I thought that Gotham's mythos was heavily overused in this season of Titans.
The thing is, I think this season of Titans is actually extremely bingeable, except for that Underworld episode that sort of ruins momentum, I think, in a binge.
That is the worst episode of the whole season, in my opinion.
Yeah,
that is the worst one. Because the fact that you have the Lazarus Pit and people can just come back to life when they want. I mean, also, I want to talk about, I completely forgot this. When they, at the end of it, this is a huge spoiler. If you do not want to be spoiled, literally, this is your last warning. There you go. At the very end of it, when they use the Lazarus Pit to rain on the city to bring the people back to life, does that mean that people in graves in Gotham are coming back now? And that, like, did everyone who was killed, including villains, are back alive now?
I don't know.
If you were dead inside a building, are you just dead? Like, if you got an umbrella, oh well. I'm just saying, it was like you had to really suspend the disbelief for that ending, because that really, for me, was like.
Also, why do they not play "Purple Rain" by Prince?
Exactly. That, like, I was waiting for that to happen. I was like, how are you going to play all of these other classic songs, but you call the episode "Purple Rain"?
Do you think that was their intention? They couldn't afford it.
"Purple Rain."
Do you think that was their intention?
Well, here's the deal.
Because what they play a Shaka Khan song.
Yeah, they did. But the estate of Prince is putting everything out. They've been streaming music, everything that he didn't do when he was alive. I find it very hard to believe they would not be able to work out a deal for that song.
Yeah.
Yes, Donna grabbing the lightning. Everyone seems to be like stuck on that. Like, after Wonder Woman 84, it didn't faze me. I'm like, I guess Wonder Woman can grab lightning now. I mean, I don't know. I have no idea. This question is one that's been popping up all over the blogs about the season. That storyline just disappeared. Like,
maybe
literally.
she comes back because they go to San Francisco next season. So maybe she pops up again. I don't know.
I mean,
with their gardening gloves.
Yeah.
Are you excited for the return of the gardening gloves?
I'm not. I hope they fix the gloves or whatever. Yeah, Kenneth. I mean, it was a music rights issue probably, but I can't imagine that they couldn't get the song. Maybe they just couldn't get it in time. Maybe that was the problem. Maybe it just was. I would love to know, because how can you call the episode "Purple Rain" and that's not a trademark violation, but you can't get the song? Because "Purple Rain" is literally the title of the song. I find it hard to believe you could call your episode "Purple Rain" and the exact spelling of the song.
Well, hold on.
And not get away with that.
Wait, was Supergirl's episode this week the one called "I Believe in a Thing Called Love"?
No, that's next week.
Okay, so do they play the Darkness song?
This one was Nightmare Over National City or something.
So next week will they play the Darkness song? I Believe in a Thing Called Love.
I don't know. Maybe they should.
Maybe they should.
Anytime there's a song tie-in, I'm always all in for it, especially if it's Return of the Mac. So,
well, that episode of Legends was called Return of the Mac, wasn't it?
I know, and they had the song in it. So there we go.
And Love is a Battlefield from The Flash.
Okay, so quickly before I go, because we're going to wrap this up, the Weekly Geekly will be coming back probably, I think we decided at the end of, like, after Halloween. The only reason why is there's no Marvel shows on and there's not a lot of Marvel news at the moment. So we want to come back when we have more to talk about. So, and I think we're going to come back at the end of the month to do a Star Wars Visions review. So if you haven't watched that on Disney Plus, go ahead and catch up on that, because that will be the first thing we discuss when the Weekly Geekly comes back. So be ready for that. All right. This is the final question before we go. We talked about this early on, Paigey. The after party, Thursdays or Fridays? We are thinking of moving the after party to Fridays, because that would give people time to watch everything from the week, including shows on Thursdays, because that is an issue for people. So if we move the after party, should we move it to Fridays or should we keep it on Thursdays? What would be better? I just want a general thought from the chat.
And also on Fridays, the after party would be at the end of day, so there would be no news. I think that would come out. I think.
Yeah, we'd be
timing's
able to get
correct.
all the news. I'm looking through. They said I missed a super chat from Ash, but I'm looking through to see where it's at.
And I think Eric was saying that. I think Eric I think you were saying that Ray Fisher
Yeah.
tends to tweet early on a Friday, so it ends.
Yeah. I'm seeing a lot of Fridays. Everybody seems. I've seen a couple of Thursdays, but I'm seeing a lot of Fridays.
I'm saying mostly Fridays. Yeah.
Yeah, there are a couple Thursdays.
And also,
but
I think don't quote me on this because it's up to Eric, and I think it comes down. He might have to bring the agents of the artist in question. He will use Rebecca Black's it's a Friday song.
yeah.
So
Thomas says 6 a.m. Sunday mornings. Yeah, that's not going to happen. Okay, yeah, I see. I actually see the Ash one that's talking about. It was a $2 super chat from Ash. He goes, honestly, just send Gar to Doom Patrol at this point. So he's saying like send Beast Boy to Doom Patrol. I wouldn't have a problem with that. I don't know. I mean, I feel like he'd get more showcase. Doom Patrol, I'm loving Doom Patrol right now. I know I'm not reviewing it, but I'm really, really loving Doom Patrol. So if you
I haven't
are,
watched it yet. Yeah.
It's really good this season. It's much better than last season.
Yeah, because that was the issue. Season 2 sort of burnt me. I didn't really like season 2 of Doom Patrol at all.
Season 3
1 was really good.
Works much, much, much better. So
like season 2 felt like it was filmed during COVID.
Yes. The first episode of season 3 is technically the finale for season 2. So if you're watching season 2 and you get to the finale and you're like, I don't want to get into season 3 yet, but I want the finale for season 2. You have to watch the first episode of season 3 to get the finale for season 2. It's very similar to what happened with Flash. So think of it that way if you haven't watched it yet. So, yeah, pretty much everything. But season 3 is really good. I'm really, really enjoying it. I'm going to do a season overview of Doom Patrol when it's done because I haven't been doing week by week reviews. But yeah, super excited for it. And thank you, Ash, for the $2 super chat. Yes, I saw the news about a World War Hulk movie, but I didn't see any like big trades commenting on it. It seemed like it was a rumor at the moment. So unless a huge like Deadline puts out an article on it or something, I typically don't really put any weight into that. So anyway, that's pretty much it. We're out, guys. We'll make a decision over the next couple of days about next week's after party, but it looks like Friday seems to be an ideal for most people. So if you're one of the people that doesn't want it on a Friday, I do apologize. We may end up moving it, but we'll see. Anyway, talk to everyone later. Goodbye.
Return of the Mac. Ooh.